I prepared for the GMAT around 4 months, I guess. There were a few sources from which I learned about top 1%. The major sources were my friends who had taken the program and had scored well, and so obviously I had in the back of my mind that this is a good program which I can go for. And I had also learned about Sandeep sir a lot, and I had heard him talk, and I had heard his podcast also. So I was like, that looks like a good mentor, and it turned out pretty well for me. It's a very different practice in GMAT. I understood that it's a very different exam. You cannot simply apply the logic of your high school or your college into this exam. It was something which was missing in my initial prep. After I gave the first exam, I scored around 625, which was a very bad score for me. So I decided to re-give it in the next year. So what changed probably was the strategy which I learned from top 1%.
Massive congratulations to you on your phenomenal 685 score. I
Thank you.
know that you were vying for a 700 plus score, but let me tell you, 685 is a good enough score which would help you land any of your choiced universities and your choiced schools. So shouldn't be something that bothers you. And as we can see, the score is balanced across all three sections, and you've been able to score a 91st percentile on the quantitative reasoning, uh, almost the 90th percentile on verbal, and 93rd on data insights. 93rd on data insights, I would say, is phenomenal because a lot of our students struggle with securing such a score. So, yes, before we head on to the other aspects of your preparation journey, would want to learn about your background. Could you share something about yourself and the timeline it took you to address the GMAT?
Sure. So I come from a PCM background. I took the PCM in 11th, 12th, and since then I have been able to study something of my own because that was one wrong decision of my life. Then I got into Delhi University to study BSc Mathematics Honors, and after that I got into the placement cell, which gave me a lot of insights about how those things work. And after that, I got into a job as a financial analyst, and I was doing that job, but I wasn't really happy with that. So I thought to enter my family business and help that. And also I started content creation. So just to tell people that I also sat for the ISB interview last year, but I didn't score that well. And the fun fact about that interview was the entire interview was based on my content creation journey. Nothing of my 11th, 12th, nothing of my college, nothing of the placement cell, nothing of a financial analyst job, which I was doing, all about content creation. They even asked me about how many fake followers have you got. I was like, you can just check my phone, and they even checked my phone for that. So I wasn't really expecting that. So I think that is one unique thing which comes across in some PGDM interviews. And after that, I joined the family business, and unfortunately, my page got hacked, so I have to start content creation once again. So this has been my journey until now, professionally. And as far as GMAT is concerned, I prepared for the GMAT for around 4 months, I guess. I guess I started in July, August, September. Yeah, I started in July. And yeah, in October, I gave the GMAT and scored a 685, got a 60 points jump.
That's wonderful and very inspiring to listen to your story. And also the kind of background that you come from. I've never personally interacted with someone who's been in content creation, and talking about your experience of how your page got hacked, and that would have been a massive setback for you to start all over again and get that sort of traction on any platform. So, yes, what made you decide to start your journey with Top? I mean, there were so many test prep providers there. How did you chance upon our resource, and would you want
Uh,
to elaborate on that?
Yeah, so there were a few sources from which I learned about top 1%. The major sources were my friends who had taken the program and had scored well, and so obviously I had in the back of my mind that this is a good program which I can go for. And I had also learned about Sandeep sir a lot, and I had heard him talk, and I had heard his podcast also. So I was like, that looks like a good mentor, and it turned out pretty well for me.
Great, that's wonderful. I mean, word of mouth references are the ones that
Yeah,
really push you to go
definitely.
and opt in for a course. If there are your friends who've done it and you feel that they are of an equal caliber as you, there shouldn't be any reason for you not to believe in yourself and take that plunge and start preparing for the course, right?
Definitely.
So you told us that you re-attempted the GMAT lately and secured the score that you wanted to, or I should say, the score that is somewhere in the ballpark, in the range that you wish to accomplish for yourself. So tell us, how was your prep journey different in the initial attempt versus what did you do to change your uh, strategy towards scoring that 685? From a 625 all the way to a 685 is almost a 60-point jump, I think.
Yeah.
So, and that can be challenging for a lot of students to make that jump and cross that threshold of a 655. So, would there be anything that you would want to add on that front?
Yes. So in the initial part, I was pretty much clueless. I was preparing it like a normal examination because when we come from college and from CBSE board or ICSE board, we are usually learning stuff. We are usually practicing to get 95%, 90%. So it's a very different practice. And GMAT, I understood that it's a very different exam. You cannot simply apply the logic of your high school or your college into this exam. So, that was something which was missing in my initial prep. After I gave the first exam, I scored around a 625, which was a very bad score for me. So I decided to re-give it in the next year, which is this year. So what changed probably was the strategy. Which I learned from top 1%. I also figured out that if you have to score well, you have to get everything right in cons. So you have to get into the basics. I believe that even if you're not attempting the hard questions, even if you're not practicing the hard questions, it's okay. But you have to make sure your basics are pretty much good because I used to get even the basic exponents question wrong in my initial attempt, and I was like that something is going wrong. And in verbal, which is like most challenging to the Indian students, probably, which was the case for me. So in verbal, I believe the RC strategy, which top 1% gives, is a game changer altogether. And also, while I was solving CR in the first attempt, it was pretty much without any strategy, without any logic. It was just basic what can be right, what can be wrong. I was not negating anything. I was not canceling out anything. I was not, applying any particular logic to different questions. Everything was running in a very disorganized or unorganized way. So I would believe that it's the strategy which makes the game, or can make you lose the game.
Right. I mean, one of the points that you mentioned in this last question, the answer to the last question was how you should prioritize getting easier questions correct and not making those silly errors, because that can really devastate your score. And
Because that comes from the point that when I got the score report this time, so I had got just one question wrong in quants, and that brought my percentile from 100 to 91. And that was just my last question, 21st question. And I believe that I didn't even recheck that question because I was pretty sure that this is going to be right. And that went wrong. So I believe that it's the silly mistake that
silly
can bring you
mistakes.
down.
Correct.
Otherwise, the score would have been
Absolutely.
715.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think silly mistakes are very tough to control on the GMAT because uh, the way it's also got to do with the way that we are preparing and studying for the exam. A lot of us
Definitely.
tend to spend a lot of time on quants in our preparation, and that subconsciously makes you believe that even if you are not focused, it is going to work out on the final day. So
Definitely.
a tip that I have to give to all the students over our strategy calls is that try to refrain from doing too much practice on a single day on quant, because then it is sending a signal to your brain that it is okay to make silly errors. So, and secondly, this point that you mentioned of attempting the easy questions correctly rather than aiming for the 700 to 800 level questions is again something that I try to emphasize, because I believe that majority of the questions on the GMAT in the pool of 21 questions are easy questions. And the way
Definitely.
that a course is structured, it is geared at getting you prepared for that 99 percentile score to break that 99 percentile barrier. So we tend to emphasize on the tougher questions, thinking that if you're able to ace the tougher questions, then easy would also be a cakewalk. But that
I
is
believe
not.
the tougher questions or top 1% are good in a way because when I used to solve those questions, so I used to get very small details of those questions, like which could be a single question altogether. So those formulas were being applied, and everything was coming back in my mind that what went wrong, what went right. So when you solve those hard questions, don't focus on getting them right or wrong. Just focus on how they are being solved. that makes the whole that can change your total preparation, trust me.
That makes a lot of sense. So, yes, the point that I was coming to was that a lot of our students tend to fixate too much on the hard questions. And because these questions aren't sometimes solvable in a 2 minute time frame, they tend to take, say, 3.5 or 4 minutes to solve them. And that is again uh, programming their subconscious to believe that even solving them in a 4 minute time span is okay, which is not. So, they tend to miss out on the easy questions or get silly errors because of not structuring their prep in a particular manner, right? So that was a really helpful point. What were the resources on Top 1% portal, or say the entire prep material that you found to be extremely good, which really helped you tremendously in improving your score across all the three sections?
Okay, so I believe the mock tests are pretty much. I like to. I would like to say they're pretty much very hard, and I believe that it gives your mind the idea what's the real day gonna be like, and it prepares you well, and you are not scared at the exam day because you have already attempted those hard level exam papers, and you're just there sitting that इससे ज़्यादा तो hard नहीं होगा. It's not gonna be
Correct.
beyond that. So you're pretty much relaxed that day, and I believe that apart from all the preparation, apart from all the resources, that the one thing that is very important and that can change your game is the exam day anxiety. Because
Absolutely.
when you're sitting in the hall and you're just a single person there with walls around your computer, your mind can go blank because it has been the case for me. And you can just panic out when you're not able to solve one question and 2.5 minutes goes away and you're like, no, I can't do this, I can't do this. But if you have already attempted those hard level mocks, I believe that you're pretty much relaxed. Secondly, I believe the octave theory. That resource, the verbal PDFs that Top 1% gives is pretty much very good. And I believe I haven't seen in any of the portals like the GMAT Club or even Reddit, or I have been active on the Reddit community, but I haven't seen such resources there. So I believe that it is one of the game changers. Those two resources I believe have been the most helpful to me.
Right, I totally agree with you because there is so much of material with respect to the different strategies people follow to
Definitely.
tackle RCs that it can sometimes get very confusing for students. If they stick to multiple ideologies, nothing will stick in your brain. So it is better to stick with one ideology and practice it till the end. And if you have a repeatable process which has worked for people in the past, I think Octave is such a process which has tremendously helped a lot of other students in cracking that 99th percentile score. So it should work for you as well if you just stick to the process and not question it too much. And talking about the mocks as well, the point that you elaborated that test anxiety is something which is really real.
It's so real.
And so the mock test really prepares you, the top mock test really prepare you to prepare for the worst exam, right? And
Definitely.
if you are prepared on the top
I
mocks,
even scored a 555 on a top in mock. So I was like, what is even happening? Then
completely disheartened, I can understand. But then, yes, I also tend to recommend students not to take the mock results to your heart and rather
definitely.
take them as good practice so that you're prepared at least when you move on to the official mocks to get that desired score. So, did you find our material to be exhaustive? And I know it can get very overwhelming for people to complete the material. Was there any material that you prioritized or any material that you skipped over the entire material that was provided?
Uh, I mean, it can be exhaustive to people if they're not if they've taken a 6 months course and they're trying to do it in 3 months, because I believe that 300 hours is a sufficient time that you can give to GMAT, not more or not less. And if you like I gave 4 months to it, so I believe that it got a little exhaustive in some time. But I am that a person who's not able to study like 3 hours every day, but can try to study like 4 hours or 5 hours a day. So I'm not very disciplined in that, but if you are a person who is disciplined, then it won't get exhaustive for you. And I believe that one resource that I didn't use was the error log, because I am a lazy person in that, and I believe that if that does not go wrong, but I use the GMAT Club error log for that. So because I used to attempt it and I got that particular software there, so I believe that was more helpful to me. And error log was something which I didn't use, but if you're following the strategy, if you're following the bridge course, the live course, and everything written there, I believe it won't get exhaustive for you.
Right. So in your case, I am still thinking that you are someone with sharp memory.
Yeah.
So you would be able to draw out these patterns very intuitively across all the new questions that you are facing. Error log generally works for people who think that they're not very good at memorizing things, and it can really help you course correct and find out where are you exactly going wrong, especially in topics like CR, where you can repeatedly go wrong on questions that you've initially got wrong. So for that, to fix that aspect of the GMAT prep, we always prescribe error log to all our students. So
Definitely.
maintaining an error log over GMAT Club is also doable. I think if you have been able to exploit that feature
Or
really well.
there is a simple way for that. If people are attempting the mock test, I believe there are 10 mock tests. And so when you attempt the mock test and things go wrong, I believe that instead of getting disheartened, I used to write down what questions went wrong. So for example, the evaluate question went wrong. So I used to just write it on the back of my notebook, GMAT mock test 1, evaluate, and then PNC or, probability. And after that, when I had enough confidence that I had mastered that problem, so I used to cut down that. So that was the error log for me instead of having it on my desktop, because in the notebook it's more accessible.
Right. So what I used to do in my prep was I would also maintain a sheet of the general errors that I'm making, and
Yeah.
just to go through them over and over again to understand that there are certain questions in which I repeatedly make recurring errors, right? So you've been able to secure a fantastic percentile in DI, which stands at a 93rd percentile, I believe. And DI is a pain point for most of our students.
Definitely.
So, yes, were you always strong at DI, or did you also see some improvement after putting in the work? What
Yeah.
were the
So
resources in DI which helped you the most to, if in case you were not strong initially and you later on became strong, what were the resources which helped you a lot?
So I believe that DI as a point, the data sufficiency can make a lot of change. If you're worried about graphs, or many people are worried about MSR, which is a pain point for me. So the question I got in the GMAT MSR was like an 805 level, without any doubt. But the entire summary that you have to read, it is very overwhelming for people. And all you have to do is you have to just keep it in your mind that if the passage or the details or the information is very hard to comprehend, the questions are going to be very easy. That is for sure, because the GMAT is formulated in that way that you don't have to spend a particular amount of time, more than that amount of time, on a particular question. So I believe that you have to keep that in mind. Even if the information is hard to comprehend, the questions are going to be easy. And that is how, even after that, on an 805 level MSR, I got all the questions wrong, all the questions right on that. So, which was a little shocking for me too. And I got the data sufficiency 2 questions wrong. So, I believe that was the game changer for me. I got data sufficiency wrong, and I was not expecting that. So, I believe that if you master the data sufficiency part, the rest is gonna come across, because all this IR is a part of the quants and the verbal. And all you have to think is that even if the information is hard, the questions are going to be very easy. So yeah, you just have to keep a peaceful mind in that. And as far as the resources are concerned, I believe the mock tests are enough for that, because the amount of questions that range in the mock test, because if you think logically, there are 10 mock tests, and let's say there are 3 MSR questions per mock test. Sometimes there are 6. So you're gonna get 30 to 50 questions there. And also there are, I believe, the single mock test for data insights there too.
Topic
So there
wise.
are there are enough questions that you can practice, more
Correct.
than enough. So if you're doing that, you can understand the pattern, you can understand what type of questions come, what type of graphs come, and what type of logic to apply in the two, I don't remember the type of questions, the two answer question, the yes or no, I don't remember exactly what they say. But yeah, you can understand the pattern.
Right. So I think a lot of our students, when they see that they're not being able to improve on data insights after having put in the work, considerable work, I think the final thing that they miss out is not taking the mock test because that can affect the morale of students. In your case, you had addressed the mock test also really well and tracked all your errors. I think that is why you were able to secure that 93rd percentile. So you are mentioning that you didn't utilize any other resource apart from what was given
Yeah.
in top material in DI.
Yeah.
Great. All right. So yes, what would be your tips going forward for anyone who's looking at this interaction at a later stage of what are some of the do's and don'ts that you should remember throughout your GMAT journey and prep?
Okay. So do's would be to keep a strategy in mind. Do's would be not to exaggerate quants. It's gonna come easy. It's gonna come easy in your exam. You're gonna get everything you have studied. It's not gonna be something of an 805 level. Even if a question or a two come, it's not gonna be in majority. I can say that 80 to 85% are gonna be easy level questions because that is how the game changes there. And in DI, don't overstress because the wordings can be can be tough to comprehend, but the questions are going to be easy. Focus more on data sufficiency because there was also a question that I noticed in the GMAT exam, which was new to me. It was a mixture of IR and data sufficiency. So yeah, so that was something new to me, and luckily I got it right. So yeah, so be open to new questions coming your way, and don't freak out in the exam. And third, and the most important thing of doing is keeping a peaceful mind, because I believe that that is something which is very important, and I have freaked out in the last exam, and that has ruined it for me. But not this time, because this time I went with a very free mind. I had a Diwali party right before my exam day, so I was pretty much relaxed. So I just went in. I didn't talk to anyone. I didn't tell anyone I had my exam. I just went in and I gave the exam. So that worked out pretty well for me. Exam day anxiety can really affect your score. And don'ts, I would say, I have already covered the don'ts, I guess.
Right,
Yeah,
Rishabh.
yeah,
Right. This has been such a edifying interaction, and I'm sure anyone at a later stage who happens to go through this interaction of ours would certainly draw out key lessons from our interaction. Thank you once again for doing this.
yeah.
And we at Top 1%, especially Sandeep sir and the rest of the team, are extremely proud of you of
Thank you.
securing that wonderful score. Wishing you all the best for your journey forward applying to these schools.
Thank you, Karan. Thank you so much. And thank you to Sandeep, sir. Please
Right.
focus on octave theory.
Right, Rishabh. Thank you once again. Have a great day.